Assalamualaikum. Good day, everyone. I am Numan Yakat, your tutor for SBM exam, basically. Now, let's talk about the syllabus areas of SBM Strategic Business Management for 2025 exams, basically. Strategic Business Management, SBM, and that is for 2025 exam. That is for the latest exams, basically. So, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss the syllabus. We are going to discuss the areas what we have to study in our SBM exam, basically. What are the skills, what are the knowledge level, each and everything, what we have to cover it, basically. Regarding the syllabus, what are the areas we have already discussed in the orientation? And if you have done it, that is good. Otherwise, you can just send me a message. One of my team members will share it with you as well, basically. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to look at the levels, different levels. And that might be some sort of a repetition because if you are already taking the corporate reporting exam, but obviously I have to discuss because sometimes it's quite possible some of you might be attending just the SBM and not the corporate reporting. So that's an syllabus overview. If I just give you a brief overview, business strategy and management, 30 to 40%. So your business strategy and management, 30 to 40%. And your finance section, this is approximately 25 to 35%. And your reporting area, 15 to 20%, 10% is assurance, and 5 to 10% is ethics. And all of these areas are common. Common in CR as well as in SBM as well, basically. So now let's talk about the levels. At what level you have to study a particular topic or topics, basically. We have 4 levels what we have to be aware. If I talk about those levels, first of all, what we have basically, we have level D. What do you mean by level D? Level D means we have to get some sort of awareness of the scope of the standard or a particular topic. Before discussing the awareness or understanding or broader understanding, why we are studying this thing, basically? Why? We are studying because just to make sure how we have to study, how we have to study, how much time we need to spend on a particular topic, basically. How much time we need to spend. If I talk about level D, that is an awareness level, awareness of scope. So we just need to get some sort of very basic idea of a particular topic, basically. We should not spend hours and hours on this topic if it is at the D level, because examiner will not going to test the complex areas or integrated areas or difficult portion from this section, basically, because examiner knows this level, this topic, this D point, it is just a very basic awareness. Level C, it talks about the general knowledge with some basic understanding. Obviously, that is some sort of a bigger level as compared to level D. So you must be having some good knowledge with some basic ideas about recognition, about identification, about measurement as well. Level B. Level B means you need a broader understanding. You need a very solid understanding. You need a good understanding, good knowledge as well in level B as well. Very good knowledge. And level A, that is the most difficult, or not difficult, you can say the expert level. Expert level, that is the level A as well. So you need a thorough knowledge. So at this here, you need a comprehensive knowledge as well. You need comprehensive knowledge, because assume like you are in a key position. You are at a decision making position. You are a manager, senior manager, or partner, or chief financial officer, chief operating officer, CEO. So, what you need to do? You need a solid understanding, broader, good, excellent knowledge, information, skill, your ability to apply your knowledge in a particular situation, basically. That is what we have. That is basically your level A as well, basically. So I give you an overview of all of these levels. What do we mean by each level? And according to the levels defined, we should plan out our studies, how much time we need to spend on a particular topic, basically. Now, regarding the audit, assurance and audit, regarding ethics, regarding financial reporting, we have already covered in our corporate reporting orientation in our discussion. So I would not be repeating that. So you can watch our recordings and you can get an understanding. Our this discussion will be focusing on business and finance. First of all, I will be talking about the business, what areas are included in our business, and what areas are included in our finance section as well, basically. So, first of all, let's talk about business, and secondly, let's talk about the finance. But we will discuss one by one. In ICW, we have three levels: certificate level, first of all, second level is professional level, and third level is advanced level as well. Business and finance, these are components, these are exams of all of the levels. Either we are talking about the certificate level. In certificate level, we have one exam, that is business, technology, and finance. And in professional level, we have business, strategy, and technology as well, basically. But when I talk about professional level, in professional level, we have financial management. So in either way, either you are carrying forwarding your studies from first level of ICAEW, or you are a member or you are a student of ACCA or any other body. Like if you are a chartered accountant from any other body, or you are a member from any qualification, any body in the world, I believe that you have studied the basics of these topics. If you have studied or if you have not studied, you should not be worried, because what we have done, we have planned our study from the basics. For example, if I just talk about my very first topic, that is strategic analysis. In strategic analysis, our first topic to study is industry and market analysis tool. And one of the tools what we have to use is the pestle analysis, or you can say the pestle model: political, economic, social, technological, environmental or ecological, and legal factors. What we have to consider when we are formulating our study, when we are formulating our strategy for examination of market. So this is what we have to do. So some people might think, and many people just directly start from that vast level. No, what we have done, we have started our we have planned our studies from the basics, and we start from basic. Like for example, we will be having a session, recorded session as well as live. We have recorded our basics as well as advanced concept. Like for example, pestle. What do you mean by pestle model? SWOT model, different component, explaining each and every component as well, basically. So if you remember, if you recall from previous studies, that is good. So that will be a refresher course. If you are unable, then still it will be a very valid course, because it will provide you the basics. So you should not be worried. Either you have studied or you have not studied, basically. Just to give you some sort of an idea, what we go for, we use our slides, we use our notes for study and examination purposes, that you can use, you can download, you can print, you can use in your examination hall. We will provide you the rights, copyright, but just for you, just for one student who is going to register with us. If I give you an overview, like for example, these type of slides and notes we do provide. For example, treasury and working capital. Contents, role of treasury management, global treasury management, working capital financing, investment, objectives, different policies. Short, concise, to the point, but applicable for your exam. Issues affecting your global treasury management, structure of your operations, treasury management, pooling, netting, multi currencies, other arrangements, working capital management, different strategies. Yes, we have to talk about liquidity and profitability, two common issues: ratios, EOQ, overtrading, factoring, short term financing, long term, their strategies. So, these type of slides and notes will be provided to you. Pastel, obviously we will start from the pastel. Before is talking about the pastel, we will start from the strategy, just giving you a concept of strategy. What is strategy? Why do we formulate our strategy? How your strategy can work in a dynamic environment, because we know our environment is changing, it is changing constantly. So you have to plan something for your dynamic environment basically. So, how do you think your strategy will be successful for a rapidly changing environment? That's the analysis. Then we will talk about next, that is Porter five forces. What are the five forces of Porter model? Michael Porter has defined this model basically. My Porter's five forces or Porter five forces model basically. Competition, rivalry, bargaining power of customers, of suppliers, threat of substitute, many other points we are going to discuss. Again, most of these points are at A level, so I will not be repeating. If there will be any change, then definitely we can go for that. Then we have product life cycle. Product life cycle will tell you at which particular stage your product is. For example, if I just give you a very simple diagram, like it is the, you can say, introduction phase. Then it is going to be some sort of growth phase. Then you have maturity phase, and then we have decline. I just draw a very simple diagram, decline phase. So these are different life cycles, different stages of a product basically. At which particular stage you have, what particular strategy you need to adopt, we will talk about and we will discuss. As we are just having a first session, so it's not possible to discuss each and every component here. We will just study the topics, what we have to study in our SBM and how we are going to study basically. For each and every topic, we have a separate session that is recorded as well as in a discussion mode as well, basically. Then we have basically Boston Consulting Group matrix as well. Different areas, different points, different models, prices and markets, and competitor analysis, basically. How you can achieve your competitor analysis, how this analysis could be useful for you. So that was basically, these tools were for your external analysis. Remember, these tools, all of these tools were for your external analysis. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss some tool that will be relevant for our internal analysis as well. Because we must be good at both of the areas, external as well as internal as well. So these points, most of these areas will be going for our internal analysis. Because when we are launching some sort of product or service, we are going for expansion of our products, projects, opening up a new subsidiary, going for joint venture, merger, subsidiary, associate. We must be good with both external as well as internal analysis. Because external analysis will give us the idea about the factors, what sort of factors do we have in our external environment. But internal environment is similarly, because it is much relevant, because we need to look at what sort of resources do we have, competencies what we have, what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threat, what is our market share, how we can perform, how we can compete, and so on. Let's discuss one by one. Resource audit. and resource-based strategy. Yes, what sort of resources do we have? What sort of strategy do we have? What strategy we need to apply to make sure that we compete our competitors, we maintain our competitive advantage, we sustain our competitive advantage basically. We grab a good amount of share because we are in the initial stages. We are going for market penetration or market scheming. We need to look at. Then we will talk about value chain analysis basically. What is value chain? What sort of activities do we have in our value chain? What about primary activities? What about primary activities? What about secondary activities basically? Secondary activities. Primary activities and secondary activities basically. Secondary activities. How these activities can assist us, can be helpful. Then we will be talking about SWOT analysis. Everyone knows SWOT stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, basically. Although everyone knows, but still we have explained this model in our sessions, basically. Because we must know it's not just about strength, weakness, opportunity, or threat. What do you mean by strength? What do you mean by weakness, opportunity, and threat? What are some common examples of SWOT analysis, basically? Have been discussed already in detailed session. All of the components of syllabus, either corporate reporting, SBM, and case study, these have been recorded and updated for the 2025 exams. Gap analysis, what do you mean by gap? For example, this is your current state. This is your current state. And this is your future state as well. This is your current state and this is your future state, or you can say desired state, where you want to be. So the difference between current state and future state, that is called as gap. That is called as gap as well, basically. Difference between current and future or desired state, that is called as gap. So we will be performing the gap analysis. Why we are not reaching to the desired level? What are the weaknesses or issues or the what are the issues, weaknesses, deficiencies, what we need to identify, how we can identify basically, what tools we need to employ, what strategies we can adopt to make sure that we reach at that level as well. Then we will be going for marketing analysis, how we can perform the market analysis, because it is advisable to perform the market analysis first of all, and then introduce some sort of product or services or whatever you want to do with the market. Then we will talk about the competitive advantage. What is competitive advantage as well, basically? How competitive advantage could be helpful for us, basically? How competitive advantage could be helpful? What do you mean by competitive advantage? How you can sustain your competitive advantage as well, basically. Then we will talk about benchmarking. What is benchmarking? Different types of benchmarking. Why do we go for the benchmarking concept as well? Then we will talk about directional policy metrics, basically. Business process analysis. Because every business has different types of processes. So what sort of processes are being performed? How we can analyze those processes, basically. Strategic risk analysis. What are the risks? Different types of risk. Strategic risk, operational risk, business risk, financial risk, legal risk, or compliance risk. So how we can analyze them? Balance scorecard. Yes. What is balance scorecard? A tool to analyze, to measure your performance, basically. What are the different components of your balance scorecard, basically? Financial as well as non-financial components. So we were talking about first component, that was strategic analysis. Now we will talk about the second component, and the second component is basically strategic choice. that is strategic choice basically. In strategic choice, first of all, we will talk about strategy formulation, evaluation, and choice basically. How we can formulate our strategy. How we can formulate our strategy basically. How we can evaluate our strategy basically. How we can go for choices, strategic choices basically. What is strategic choice? What are strategic options basically? What are strategic choices? What is business risk management, or it is also called as BRM, business risk management basically. What is business risk? How businesses could be dangerous for us, how we can avoid those business risks basically. Financial analysis and data analysis basically. What is financial analysis? What is data analysis? Some people think like financial analysis or data analysis is just ratios. No, it includes ratios, but it's not only about the ratios like liquidity, profitability, gearing, investment, working capital efficiency. It includes a lot of areas basically. It includes comparisons, it includes interpretation, it includes industry reviews, it includes reviewing, assessing your position with respect to specific company or companies, what is happening in the industry. So what sort of comments, application of your professional judgment basically. Stakeholder analysis basically. Then we can go for objectives and stakeholder preferences basically. Next area after strategic choice, what we have, that is strategic implementation. That is the next area. So that is strategic implementation. In strategic implementation, first of all, we will talk about business plan. What is business plan? How we can formulate a business plan. Why we need a business plan basically? What are different components of business plan as well? What is a good business plan looking like? What we should include and we should not include in the plan? What will be the financial and non-financial information that we need to include in our business plans basically? Then we have organizational structure. What is organizational structure? What sort of structure do we have? What sort of metrics do we have? Then information management, how we can use the information. What is information? How important is for our information? How we can protect our information as well. For example, in previous few years, UK has introduced GDPR, Global Data Protection Regulations as well. So you cannot send out the information out of UK. So that will be unethical, not only unethical, but also illegal as well, because you are violating the GDPR regulation, Global Data Protection Regulation. Then we have change management. Just give me a second. Then we will talk about the project management. What is project management? What is project? And what about project deliverables? What are project deliverables? Who is the project manager? Who can be a project manager as well? What qualities do we have in a good project management as well? Then we have a new area, and the new area is business management basically. Business management. First of all, we will talk about performance management. Again, it will include both your financial as well as non-financial as well, basically. Financial as well as your non-financial area as well. Ratios, comparison, analytical procedures, customers, points, deliverables, quality control, innovation. Many points do we have to cover. in financial and non-financial areas. Strategic marketing and brand management. Yes, what is brand? What is a brand? How brand is differentiated from other products, other areas, basically. What is corporate governance? What is corporate governance? What is information strategy? We know that this 21st century is basically an era. It's a time of information strategy, how we can use those strategies, particularly after the reveal of advanced AI. We know what is going to happen: artificial intelligence. And even after artificial intelligence, we also have deep sea. Then we will talk about human resource management, HRM basically. What is HRM basically? How we can go for HRM, how we can be good HR management, how we can be a good HR manager, what qualities, what should be the process of hiring or firing, how we have to formulate our policies for our organization basically. All this belongs with your the sections of the domains of business. First of all, we started our discussion with strategic analysis. Second, we have strategic choices. Third, we have strategic implementation. And the fourth and the last area of business section was business management. Now, let's move the costing side. Costing side is an off and off topic, but obviously either it's an off and on or whatever it is, we have to cover because it's a part of our syllabus and it could be examined at any time. We should not make some sort of prediction, like for example, if it was predicted 1 year ago or in previous one attempt, so it will not be tested. No, so all of these are just some sort of meaningless statements, I believe. What we need to do, we need to cover each and every component what is in our syllabus. Cost analysis or decision making. So we will talk about the cost classification. What is cost? Different types of cost: direct cost, indirect cost, fixed cost, variable cost, semi-variable cost, step fixed cost, and so on. Costing system, yes, two famous systems. One of them is absorption costing, and second, that is marginal costing as well. Previously, we have these costing system, but now we have a modern costing system that is known as ABC, or activity-based costing. Remember, it is at P level. But we are enough good with the ABC costing, absorption, and marginal costing with our previous practice. Then we have break-even analysis. Yes, what is break-even? So break-even, obviously, it will be discussed and it will be studied. Break-even in terms of units, break-even in terms of value. Either it is a dollar or it is a pound or whatever the currency is basically. Multi-product break-even analysis as well. Yes, apart from single product, we also have multi-product break-even analysis. Budgeting, performance measurement, performance management as well. Budgeting, different types of budgeting. How we can formulate our budget basically. How we can go for our forecasting. Zero-based budgeting, rollover budgeting, different types. Then in pricing, what we have in pricing, we have two areas to cover. First of all, we have pricing decision, and second, we have transfer pricing as well. In pricing decision, what we need to do, we need to take some decisions regarding price, how we can formulate the prices as well, how we can go for the transfer pricing mechanism. What is transfer price? How we can use this transfer price within the company, within different departments, within a group as well. Then what we have decision making techniques basically. Decision making techniques, we have three areas to cover. First of all, expected values or EVs. Second, we have the relevant cash flows, and these cash flows are used when we assess and opportunity. And third, we have sensitivity analysis. What is sensitivity analysis? Sensitivity analysis means how sensitive a particular element is. For example, we are having a project and we know that every project has some sort of inflows and outflows. So, for example, if I am talking about outflows, we have raw material, we have labor costs, we have overheads, we have discount rate, we have lot of areas. So, for example, if there is a change, increase in a cost of a particular element, like for direct material or labor or discount rate, so what will happen? Either the project will be having a zero or negative NPV, or its amount, its value will be reduced by how much amount, how sensitive your variables are, how sensitive your project is in response to different variables, different components, basically. That is our sensitivity analysis, basically. Sensitivity analysis. So that was pretty a short area, cost analysis. Now, another major area, what we have, that is business and shareholder. Now, here we are talking about finance. From here, our finance section is starting. Business and shareholder value. First of all, what we have valuation techniques. Valuation technique. Yes. So valuation techniques mean we are talking about business valuation. In valuation technique, we are talking about business valuation. In business valuation, we will use different approaches or technique. First of all, we have income-based valuation technique, and in income-based, we have dividend yield model or approach. We have PE approach or model, price to earning, and we also have DCF, discounted cash flows. Discounted cash flows, basically. Next, we have asset-based approach or measures, basically, and we also have options approach as well, basically. Asset-based approach or measures and options approach as well, basically. So three types: income-based, asset-based, and option-based as well. These are valuation techniques. In addition to valuation technique, we also have some techniques for shareholder values. And first of all, we have VBM, value-based management, and value drivers. So what are value drivers? Because it is very important to identify your value driver. What drivers, what components, what factors are driving values, generating money, generating values for your stakeholders, your shareholders as well. Then we have to perform SVA, that is shareholder value analysis. Basically, what is shareholder value analysis? Because you have to value your shareholders, otherwise they might be withdrawing their investments. So you have to make sure that you value your shareholder, you perform an analysis on your shareholders as well. What about short-term and long-term growth rates and terminal values? What are terminal values? What about growth rates? How you can determine the growth rates? Economic profit. What is economic profit? What is return? CFROI, cash flow return on your investment. ROI, we normally use return on investment, but CFROI means return on investment, but with respect to cash flows. Total shareholder return, TSR. MVA, market value added, basically. MVA means market value added, basically. That is shareholder value analysis, basically. In business and shareholder value, we have valuation technique and we also have shareholder value, basically. So this is a comprehensive topic about business valuation, basically. Comprehensive, different from previous studies, and one of the most important topics. Next, we have investment appraisal and risk analysis basically. In investment appraisal, first of all, we will talk about the project appraisal. In project appraisal, first of all, we have MPV, we have IRR, but we also have another new area that is MIRR. IRR, internal rate of return, we already know, but MIRR means modified internal rate of return. How MIRR is superior to IRR. How we can calculate MIRR basically. What is payback period? In addition to this, we also have discounted payback period. How payback period is different from discounted payback period. What do you think? Payback period would be higher or discounted payback period would be higher? What do you think? What about relevant cash flows, taxation, inflation, replacement analysis, capital rationing, soft capital rationing, and hard capital rationing as well? We know about NPV, net present value, but that's an advanced level, and we must be aware, we must be good with the calculation and interpretation of APV, adjusted present value as well. So in addition to NPV, we must be good with APV, that is adjusted present value. How APV is different from NPV? How you can calculate your NPV? You can calculate your NPV for foreign funded projects. How you can calculate your NPV for foreign funded project? Because foreign funded projects are in a foreign currency, are nominated in a foreign currency as well, in a foreign currency. So there are different methods, two methods we have. Obviously, we'll discuss in our complete session, complete area. How we can assess the risk? Obviously, that involves the project appraisal, risk, expected values, scenario planning, gap analysis, continuous versus event risk. What is the difference between these two types of risk basically? Then the next type is basically financial analysis. Financial analysis. In financial analysis, first of all, we have topic that is cost of capital, COC. Cost of equity, cost of debt, and cost of preference share. In addition, for financing side, we also have cost of bank loan. When we have all of these, then we can calculate back weighted average cost of capital. We also talk about effective interest rates, substitution, distribution, conversion into equity and debt instruments. Equity instruments, basically. You might be thinking some areas or most of the areas are what we have studied. Yes, these are areas, but these areas are tested at complex level. In integration, we have studied these topics individually. So let's say if there is a question and this question involves your audit. First of all, it involves the, let me erase this. Reporting side. Then it involves your auditing. It involves your business perspective. It involves your finance perspective as well. For example, ABC Limited is currently operating in Pakistan and UAE. And this group is considering expansion in USA, United States of America. So what you need to do? First of all, you need to go for the reporting element. how reporting would be made, because we need to apply the IAS 21 and so on, consolidation and so on. Then what will be the auditing perspective? From audit point of view, what you need to think, what we need to apply, what sort of risk do we have, how we can manage them. Then business point of view, what about the business market? What about the demand of product or service what we are going to launch in USA basically? Again, then we can perform our external analysis with the help of different tools what we have studied and discussed on previous slide, and then with internal tools as well, resource analysis, resource audit, SWOT model, and so on. Financed, how these operations, how these expansion would be financed. Either it would be from equity, it would be from debt, it would be a combination of debt and equity, angel financing, venture capitalists, bonds, convertibles, financial instruments. What we need to do? Either we need to apply some sort of hedging element as well. So you see, just in a single question of expansion, each and everything is tested. So when we have this situation, we need to apply the professional skepticism. We have to use our professional judgment as well. We need to be more good in application side. So that's why these levels are little bit involves your complexity side, your judgment, presence of mind. Then for cost of capital, we also have the portfolio theory and CAPM, where we have to use the WAC and where we have to use the CAPM. How CAPM is different from WAC? Well, all of both of them are same thing. We need to learn about. We need to think about portfolio theory, CAPM, capital asset pricing model, asset-based pricing models, their relation, and international cost of capital. Yes, so probably that would be an area for you. International cost of capital. You have heard about cost of capital. What is international cost of capital? How it is different from the cost of capital, or it is the same thing? Obviously, it would be a different one. Then we have another area, a new area, and this area is about bonds and fixed interest securities, basically. What are bonds? Different types of bonds, basically. How you can measure the prices of bond, how you can calculate. What about yields to maturity? That is YTM. It is yield to maturity. What about duration and price volatility? What is price volatility? How we can measure the price volatility? What is convexity? Term structure, corporate borrowing, default risk. How you can assess the default risk? How you can manage the risk basically. Then we have data analytics. Again, it's basically about spreadsheet functions, your sensitivity analysis, scenario planning, scenario analysis, data distribution, data biasness, and data visualization as well, basically. So these are the components. We also have some quantitative methods as well, basically. And in quantitative methods, we have standard deviation. What is standard deviation? Some basic concepts of statistics. What is coefficient of variation? Probabilities, correlation, z-score, confidence intervals, basically, how we can measure. Obviously, we will study these areas, this topic at different level, or whatever the level is. We need to study, we need to analyze, basically. Another topic, another area is basically sources of finance and financing arrangements as well, basically. We have different types of finance: short term, medium term, and long term finance. What is green finance, basically? How this green finance is different from other finances, basically. What about loan agreement condition, warrants, covenants, guarantees? What about raising capital, gearing and capital structure, basically? Loan agreements, covenants, loan covenants, basically. Dividend policy, financing reconstructions, basically. Group reconstruction, purchase of share, using distributable profits, and so on. Treasury and working capital, different types of financing, history of finance. Again, these topics belong with your sources of finance as well, basically. Then we have financial engineering. And in financial engineering, we have, first of all, future, options, and swaps as well. You can say to some extent we are starting the topic of financial instruments. What are options, interest rate futures, interest rate options, interest forward rate agreements, interest rate swaps, and these topics are again for in the form of currency as well, like currency forward contracts, money market, currency option, currency swap, again as well as for interest swaps as well. Very interesting topic, bit challenging, but they will equip you with huge amount of knowledge. What are determinants of foreign exchange rates? What are derivatives? What is hedging? How we can apply these concepts? Another important area is option value. How you can value different option. Call option, put option. What is the difference between these two types of option? Black-Scholes model, binomial model as well. What are real options in finance? Then we have another new topic that is basically sustainability in finance as well. Again, that's a very, very important topic. Sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability means meeting the needs of present without compromising on the future. That is called as sustainability. Sustainability, basically. Because we have to think as we are living in this era, so we have to think how much resources we are using. Because it's quite possible if we are using too much amount of resources, so there will be no or less amount of resources available for future generation. How they are going to survive, basically. So there will be huge competition. So we have to think. We need to think about sustainability, use of resources. Either we are wasting our resources, what sort of resources we have, recyclable or non-recyclable resources. Types of sustainability, environmental, social, economic. What is ECG? ESG, environmental, social governance. That is ESG. Corporate social responsibility, sustainability, climate change, green finance. All of these are important areas or important components of our sustainability. Then measurement and metrics in sustainability. Reporting on sustainability. Yes, it is mandatory. It is sometimes it's mandatory in some countries, some jurisdictions, for some companies, but may not be mandatory for some areas, some countries of the world. What about risk management and sustainability, regulation of sustainability, and finally, sustainability and ethics as well, basically. So, you see, as sustainability, if I talk about sustainability, is fairly a new topic, fairly a new topic, but it's a huge importance. Why it has huge importance? You can see most of the points are at the A level. These are the experts level as well. So you need to be good with the discussion because we have to secure our future. We have to make sure that we preserve our environment as well. That is your sustainability. That is your environment. What we need to believe, what we need to make sure, basically. That is our part. And as a good professional, as a human being, not only as a chartered accountant, but also as a human being, we must play our role, what we can do for sustainability, for a sustainable future as well. In fact, sustainability will lead to sustainable future. And we will use different terms. We will be having an understanding and concept of sustainable future. So that will be helpful to build a good future for all of us and for our generations as well, basically. So that's all from my side. But before ending this session, I will also discuss some other areas what we need to go for. And these areas are, let me change my screen and let me draw your attention to our key skills. Key skills for SBM. What are the key skills that you need at your SBM level? What are the key skills? If I talk about in SBM, we also have 4 to 5 types of skills like what we have in our corporate reporting exam, basically. In our corporate reporting exam. First of all, if I talk about that is assimilating and using information. Assimilating and using information, basically. All those your skills are same. Probably your skills are going to be same in your corporate reporting, SBM, and case study. But important thing is that the application, what you need to do, how you have to apply. Because corporate reporting is a different exam, SBM is a different exam, case study is a different exam as well. So what examiner requires from you in each skill. If I talk about in A and UI, what you need to do, you need to demonstrate. You need to demonstrate the understanding. You need to demonstrate understanding, basically. You need to assess and analyze business environment. I am just mentioning few areas, few points, because it involves a lot of areas, basically, lot of points. You need to think about different issues. Second skill, what we have, that is structuring problems and solutions. It is called as A and UI. It is called as SP and S. Structuring problems and solutions as well. In structuring problems and solutions, what we need to do, we need to structure from various perspectives. We need to structure from various perspectives as well, basically. We need to. We need to find out gaps in information. We need to apply technical knowledge. Third skill, what we have, that is applying judgment. Or it is called as AJ. In applying judgment or AJ, what we need to do, what we have to do, we have to assess data. We have to assess the data. We have to recognize biasness in data as well. We have to find out inconsistencies, inconsistencies in data as well. We need to exercise ethical and professional judgment. Why I have mentioned ethical and professional judgment? Because sometimes we might be good with our professional judgment, but we must also take care of our code of ethics, our principles of integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional behavior, last but not the least, professional competence and due care as well. Because we have to be a good accountant for the society, not just for seeking some sort of financial purposes like in getting our salary or doing a good business, but we must be good with our society as well, paying something back to our society. And the fourth type, or you can say fourth and fifth type, whatever you want to say, that is conclusion and recommendations. Conclusions and recommendations as well, basically. So what we need to do, we need to provide conclusions. Again, what we need to do, we have to provide conclusion, but use judgment. We need to provide recommendations as well. We also need to provide the recommendations as well, basically. Recommendations or advice, whatever you want to say. So these are some just a basic overview of skills, what you need to do, what we need to develop basically. And as we will be progressing towards our session, so we will be developing these skills. We will be working on these areas and many other points that are necessary for these skills because it's not possible to list each and every point, classify each and every point in these 4 to 5 skills, whatever you want to say. Why I use the term 5 skill? Because sometimes some people say conclusion is the fourth one and fifth one is a recommendation. Some people say fourth one conclusion and recommendation, C and R, it's up to you how you want to proceed. So we will be developing all of these skills and these areas. And last but not the least, as we have discussed earlier, we also need to be good with our ethics as well, ethical principles, professional judgment, and professional values as well. So that's all from our first session of SBM. I believe you have enjoyed this session. Now I will be unmuting all of you and will be taking up your questions basically. Thank you for listening.